Good evening, everyone. So my name is Marsha McLean, and I am CEO and founder of Grandma's 2.0. And Grandma's 2.0 is all about redefining who grandmas are. And the way we do that is through a variety of different ways. So one way is through health and wellness. And so tonight we're going to be talking about functional exercises. And I actually took the time to look that up to see what that meant. And, just because to me, it's important that you know what you're talking about. And, and so when I looked at it, I was like, oh, so that's basically, it's the things that you do in your daily life. In early childhood, we call those adaptive skills. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's basically the same thing, still being able to do things. And what's so ironic about this topic is that when you start aging, and we all do every day, but when you get to a certain age, the things that you thought you could do or you took for granted before are not always easy to do. And so these exercises will help you really be able to continue to, maintain your lifestyle, based on, maybe what you were doing earlier and that sort of thing. Now, maybe you can't get the range that you did before, but you can at least get some range. And the more you work at it, I think the better you'll get. And so we have the honor of having an expert on with us tonight, Miss Blanca Hernandez, who will Miss Blanca Fernandez, who will, sorry, I apologize for that, Blanca. Miss Blanca Fernandez, who will talk with us about and give us a lot more information about functional exercise, what they are, some examples, and she's going to make me do a few of those exercises for you. And I'm hoping Carmen will help me. So anyway, because we've been in the class and we've been working on this, and I tell you, for me, it has really made a difference. Now, as a grandma of 7 and the youngest child being 15 months, keeping up with that 15-month-old has been a journey within itself, a chore, but I've been able to do pretty good, I have to admit. And I think it's because I take the time to focus on improving my body, my physical body all the time, and not just taking it for granted or not just, just not doing anything. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited that we're sharing this information with you. All right, Blanca, please take the floor.
Yes. So, well, thank you first and foremost for having me on here. So I'm the expert. Yep. So I just a little bit of my background. I have a degree in kinesiology, with kinesiology study of movement. So that's what that is. And then I have an associate of science in physical therapy assistant. And then I also have a specialization in strength and conditioning. So I've worked I have experience in the clinical setting with the geriatric population. And now I'm in the peds world, but I do have experience in geriatrics, and I've been training for quite a few years. But the biggest thing that pointed out to me when I work with my clients is giving them a different perspective on exercise, because there's so many different kinds of exercises. There's so many different styles. There's styles that are influenced with boxing, martial arts, high intensity. There's Zumba. There's so many different styles that some people will try a style and it doesn't necessarily work for them. And the approach that I take, that I like to do, is for function. And just how you were talking about adaptive skills, it's all geared towards when you become an adult, it's for activities of daily living. Mm-hmm. And so these movements are for being able to keep doing what you're doing or restore some of that back, just so that you can get to do it. Just so it's clear on what the purpose of the exercise is. It's kind of like when you get like an art piece, and then it's just like, and you get like a beautiful mug or something. It's like, oh, is it functional? Meaning like, oh, can you drink out of it? Is there function to it? Or is it just there for the aesthetic? Oh, it's for this, for that. So that's kind of the similar concept with exercise. I mean, there's benefits for any kind that you do, but function is like looking at those movements in detail and giving you goals based on movement and giving you a different perspective on life. just like getting really excited about the fact that you can, crouch down and grab something or reach up above. Those are the things that I want people to get really excited about, because you get to see
wear
the world.
heels.
That's, yeah, yes. And I've incorporated that. So another thing that I do in my classes is I listen to my clients. I hear their history, but I also like to hear what they like to do, because this group is not just any other group. I'm dealing with 2.0 grandmas,
Right.
and y'all be on the go. So I got to keep up. So
exactly.
I'm doing these classes so that you guys can keep doing all of the things that you all are doing. And I remember after listening to the when you were doing like the beauty pageant, I was listening to everyone's stories, and I'm like, yeah, so clearly I need to make sure everyone's exercising, because everyone has all these plans afterwards. And so, yeah, that's definitely really important. But I think the biggest takeaway that I like to do with exercise is, giving people a different perspective, but understanding that exercising is a privilege. It's something that you get to do. It's not a chore. It's not, oh, I have to do this because I didn't do this. I was being bad and I didn't do it. And no, it's get excited because you do this and you get to do other things. So that's my little thing on functional exercising. And at the end of every class, I want people to move better and feel better and learn something new. So that's my goal. Other classes, it might be to get your heart rate up, and that's okay. That's completely fine. It's just a different style, but this is my style and that's my goal. And so that's that. But yeah, so again, I can talk all day about functional exercising all day. I've studied this for 6 years, so I can talk about it for 6 more years that I've been studying it. But you all are the ones that experience it. You all are the ones that get to say it. I can talk about it all day, but it's you who gets to say, oh yeah, I actually noticed it, this and that and this and that. So again, I appreciate all of the defining moments that we've had when you all share, oh, I felt this, I felt that. Because one, that makes me feel, okay, now I know it's paying off, but I know that the mentality is clicking in. So
yeah. And it's really exciting for me, when I can make those connections to something that we did in class to what I'm actually doing in real life, so to speak. So like this past weekend, I had my grandson here and he likes running around. He's the toddler, so he loves running. He's on the move. So I was able to keep up with him. I was really proud of that accomplishment because, there's a lot of years between the two of us.
One could say.
I'm not saying how many, but there's a lot of years between the two of us. And so, oh my God, to be able to keep up with him and then to get down on the floor. So I got him this little tunnel thing, right, for him to crawl through. And he got down, and then I got down on the other end. I did not crawl through, by the way, because I think I probably would have got stuck. But anyway, just coaching him to come through to the other side and that sort of thing. And then he didn't want to go upstairs and go to sleep. So I had to pick him up, take him upstairs, plus take his backpack and all those things. And I'm like, oh my God. Now, those stairs, stepping up on the stairs and all that stuff, that pays off, doing those steps.
It does.
And I kept thinking about how these things really are connected. So every time I'm with him, I think about that. Can I get, I want to be able to get on the floor with him. I want to be able to do this with him. I want to be able to play with him. I want to be able to run around, and all those things. So that's one of the reasons why I do it. And I really, it excites me to be able to do that, because I always feel accomplished after class. I always feel like I've accomplished something.
Yeah.
Like I deserve a trophy after every class.
Yeah, no, it's good that you feel accomplished. It's good that you're seeing those things with your grandson, because you don't want to feel trapped, and you don't want to feel like you're slowing people down, or you don't want to feel like that at all. It's not a good feeling when anyone gets that injury. It's not only with age, it's a limitation. When you get that, it's really hard to adapt to the changes that come. And some people will just adapt to the change. I'm like, okay, well then I'll just cut that part out and I just won't think past it. I'll just like, oh, that's fine. I don't need to reach anything up over there. It's not necessary. It's fine. Like it's just think differently. So, but yeah, but I have Carmen and Cassie here as well who have joined the chat. Thank you for coming here. But again, like I said, I could talk about functional exercises all day, but y'all are the ones that y'all are the proof. So any differences that you feel that anything that you've noticed in your personal life that's different from the training?
Well, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I've been with Blanca as well. I don't know if I've been with her as long as Marcia has been, but Marcia says yes.
No, I said I don't know, but it's okay.
No,
But
few
I've
months.
been here, yeah. And you know, the exercises that she engages us in are meant for each of us. She individualizes, and that's what I love about it. I don't have to do what Marcia is doing, and Marcia doesn't have to do what I'm doing because we have different needs. And Blanca individualizes the exercises to our needs. Like I've suffered for the past 20 years with post-stroke neuralgia, nerves. Nerves on my left side from my neck all the way down, but it affects me mostly in the shoulder and the arm. Particularly the upper arm, and then it goes down to my hands. And we've done exercises. I mean, the exercises have really, really, really helped me with moving my left arm. And every complaint I give to Blanca, she pays attention and she says, okay, that's how you feel. Okay, let's do this. Or let's do that, or let's do this and that. Really is attentive and very caring. I look at the expression on her face if she's talking to me or Marcia, and we're and you know, she looks like our mom.
Right.
I got my facial expressions from my mom. I can't help it. It's so bad. Sometimes it's great. Other times it.
Yeah. So, I'm enjoying it. I'm feeling better. I look forward to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I do because I always feel better when it's ended for that day.
Well, I'm glad that you feel better. And I think a really big takeaway from my classes with it being individualized is whenever people are with me, I think about, I'm very lucky for them to let me in on this journey, this part of their life right now. But I'm always thinking ahead, whether they stay with me or whether they go somewhere else, or what if they want to go to another class. I want them to have the skill to modify or advance something.
Yeah.
And everyone in the class, I want to make sure when I'm having people do something, they're like, oh, I can still do this, or oh, I can still do that. That way, if you're thrown in a social setting at a party or a group class or something, you're like, crap, wait, what do I do? But you're automatically going like that. So I want to give people the skill, the life skill to like, how do I quickly adapt? How do I quickly adapt? Because that's what life is all about. You're always going to have changes. So I'm really glad that you pointed it out, because that didn't even cross my mind. But yeah, that's a huge emphasis. And the reason why I wanted to go back into PTA was because I wanted to have a clinical background to be able to help people for what happens after they get discharged from physical therapy. What happens after they're recovered? What happens after all that? Okay, you graduated, you don't hurt anymore, you're good to go. What can you do now? I want to help bridge that gap. Or, hey, how can I communicate this? When is it time to see somebody? What is it that I can still do safely? There's so many questions that people don't necessarily have time to ask upon their last meeting with their doctor or upon the first meeting. There's so many things that I just want to make sure that I'm staying within my practice, but I'm helping, educate and just be that resource. As I'm constantly getting information from the clinics that I'm in, I'm making sure it's coming out to the public because I want it to be accessible. But yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, Blanca, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes.
you. Hey, Cassie.
Hey, I want everyone to know that I was pre-physical therapy with you right out of a hip replacement surgery, and I felt more comfortable going into the physical therapy because of you. And everything that they were telling me to do in physical therapy, I was already ahead of the game because in my mind I was saying, oh, Blanca had me doing this and Blanca had me doing that. And I had to unfortunately stop with the classes with you while with the physical therapy because life itself got busy too. But I was able to even continue on with the things that were outside of physical therapy because of you. Because I right out of hip replacement surgery, I felt comfortable enough with what you were giving me as an individual person. So I really encourage anyone. Don't be afraid to get in there right after any type of surgery or anything because Blanca is well knowledgeable in what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
that is definitely
I
true.
appreciate it.
I
Thank you.
I'll be back soon. I'll be back.
Yes, we look forward to you coming back. But whenever you're ready, I'm never the type to be like,
I know.
if you come today, I'm gonna cut you this
Absolutely.
deal or this. No, I'm like, come when you're ready.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a testament for that. Absolutely.
But
And it has been really wonderful. Now I was doing, what was I doing before? I was doing strength, what did she call it? Senior strength, I think is what it was called. But it wasn't individualized. That was first. That was the one issue. Secondly, it wasn't individualized. So therefore I was doing things that, the group was doing. We tried to do things that the group was doing, but if I couldn't do it, then she would say adapt, but I never really got, how you show us how to do it? That's the thing. Sometimes you need someone to show you how to do the exercise.
yeah.
And then I love the fact that you tell us, okay, so does it, like tonight you were saying, okay, this little quadrant right here, is that where it hurts? And I'm like, no, it hurts all the way across.
Yes.
But, pointing out those little things that make the difference. And like you said, take your pelvis and then, kind of bring it in, those little things. Because sometimes when you do exercise, like you say, oh, let's do do squat. But we may have been doing it wrong all our lives.
Yeah.
But you tell us the correct way to do it, because that's what I want. And I want the correct way. First, I want to make sure I'm doing it right. But then secondly, I want to make sure I'm not going to hurt myself.
Yes.
And so to me, those two things are really important.
Yeah.
And that's the difference versus doing it with the group and you don't get that individualization that Carmen was referring to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that makes a lot of difference.
And that's where the function and the intention comes in. So this is geared towards, the function's geared towards doing it, applying it in your everyday life, but the intention needs to come with the function. So you got to pay extra close attention to make sure this is how it is and this is how it's going to be adapted in life. Now, in life, when you're picking someone up or something, you might not have the time to brace and prepare. Just like you're exercising, you're going to understand that there's going to be some variability, which is why I make sure I'm doing variability in the exercise. But that's spot on with making sure it's translating outside and then knowing how to adapt, even if you were to go back to the class. And so, yeah, as far as, helping like anybody kind of get back on track after they're done, after they've gotten their surgery, after they've gone to PT, it's what next? What are the hobbies? That's kind of where I fit in. You know, if you're fresh out the table, I'm gonna be like, okay, hey, make sure you're done and you're clear, but also make sure that the communication is good between what am I still able to do, what am I not allowed to do? Because people, they'll just be told, oh, make sure you don't do this, and you're good. But when you leave people with all these things that you can't do, it's like crap. You don't think to sometimes even ask, hey, what can I still do? Oh, you can get into bike riding. Oh, you can get into treading water. Oh, you can get into, like, there's so many different worlds that I want to be able to expose you all to, that they don't have time to go over that. You know, they don't have time to go over your hobbies. They might not have time, you know, so I want to be like, hey, ask them if you can do this, ask them if you can do that. Oh, keeping this in mind. So that's the important gap between what's next, which is what life is all about. But again, I think it's the perfect time to show you what I mean by all this stuff. So we'll just take just like a few minutes and I'll run you through 4 exercises that are very simple, but I'll be talking about how they apply to life.
Oh, okay.
Giving everyone that perspective that you all are already used to, but it's showing people the importance.
Okay. I am not on my computer, so I hope.
Yeah, you're fine. You're okay. Marsha's my demonstrator for the day. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, she's my demonstrator. I'm going to be demonstrating too, but we're going to be doing this together. I'm going to be talking. She's going to be doing. I'm going to be doing it too. I'm not. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. We have our 4 exercises. So the first one is going to be rising out of the chair, squats.
Oh, okay.
So
pull this back.
Yep. So here, it's simple, it's squats, right? But we're doing it from the chair. So we're just gonna do a few of those. And while she's doing a few of them, I'll be talking about the importance. Perfect. So Marsha, let me see the side view really quick. So rising from the chair, right? Your squats. So your sit to stands, all these different names for this exercise.
Can you see me?
Yep, I can see you.
Okay.
It's simple, but let's say you get used to that are in the heights, the chair heights that are at your home. And then you go to somebody's house or you go to an office and it is at a different height and you have not gone to that height since the last time you can remember.
Oh, wow.
That's where this comes in. So if we're seeing how Marsha, I just want her to do 2 more, then she's all set. So seeing how she's leaning just a little bit. So she leans forward just a little bit and then she rises and pushes her hips forward. That right there. She's using her hip extensors, leaning just a little bit and then pushing forward. Perfect. So Marsha, you can go ahead and take a break.
Okay.
So when you're coming out of the chair, sometimes people will rely on those handrails. It's okay to use them if they're there. It's completely different. Those armrests. It's okay to use them. But if it's not there, if you're sitting on one of those benches in one of those offices, what are you going to do if you don't have that little extra shove that you get to use your triceps? You're like, oh, let me just get a little shove. What if you don't have that? How else are you going to get up? Or you're used to using momentum, swinging forward and coming up. So I'll demonstrate that really quick. And then we'll get on to the next exercise. So let's say I'm getting up, I'm coming all the way up.
Yeah.
Am I still going to be able to bank on that momentum when it's at a different height?
No, especially if it's low.
Yeah. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. So making sure when you're squeezing your glutes and pushing your hips forward, your glutes, the strongest muscle in the body, let's use it. Yet it's found weak because it's outstretched all day. It's when you're in the seated position, it's stretched. So when you're pushing those hips forward, you can pretend like you have a balloon, and you don't want the balloon to pop. As you're coming up, push those hips forward. So it's more powerful, it's safer for the back, and she's coming up easier, and she's practicing this with weights, without weights, with this height, with that height, with these reps, with this. She's practicing all these variations because life is variation. So
And, you know, I used to be afraid to, you know, like go into a room and then sit in a chair. I would be afraid, I might not be able to get up. You
Yeah,
know, I was afraid at one point.
that's
And that was
valid.
before I started working out and really focusing on those kinds of things. Because you just don't know. You know,
You
so
really don't.
I've done the hold on to the arms of the chair. I've done
Yeah.
the you know, get here on the edge and, you know, kind of swing myself. I've done all that.
Yeah.
And like with the tailgates, for example, you know those outdoor chairs?
Oh God, yeah.
They have those things are scary,
Yes, because
you
they'll
know,
sink
but I
into that
hold on
grass.
to. Yeah, and so yeah, learning how to you know, that's definitely a good example of learning how to kind of maneuver in those different situations, different heights of chairs and all that.
Mm-hmm. And you
And it
don't
can be
want to.
scary if you're not used to. I mean, I
It
feel much
is.
more confident now.
Yeah, because then you don't want to think about, oh my gosh, someone's gonna have to help me get up, or oh, you know what, I don't think I
Right,
want to go to tailgates anymore because I don't want to risk fine because you don't
right.
think about it, but you cut it out so subconsciously.
Uh-huh.
Um, I should do a class on helping somebody get out of things. I should do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just side note. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
For the tailgate situation, yeah. Because
yes,
there's so
we need
many
to
people
have
that
a
can't get out of
workout.
the chairs.
Yeah, we
I've
need to have
seen
a
it.
tailgate situation workout. We need to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
We're gonna do that. I'm gonna
yeah.
take note of that. Okay, so
And that'd
next
be fun too. It'd be perfect for right now, this time of year, because it's homecomings
is
and
the
all that. Yeah.
fall. Yeah, perfect timing. Again, here I'm adding lifestyle to function, and here this is the dialogue we have in classes. Oh, you know what? You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So helping y'all do everything that you want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
now we'll get on to our next exercise. Will be the step ups.
Okay.
So you can grab, if you have weights,
Yeah,
grab
I got my little
them.
stepper.
Okay, awesome.
And I have weight, yeah.
After this, we'll have 2 more exercises.
All right.
Okay, so she's gonna do some step ups for me. And she's keeping her weights down by her side.
Oh, and I should have these shoes on. Why am I with these shoes on? Anyway, I didn't even think about that. Sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine, you're fine. So she's coming up on the stepper. We're seeing that as she's coming up, she's not hinging forward. So a lot of the times when people are going up on the step, they're using that same momentum that we talked about in the chair. They're leaning into it and then coming up. It's okay to have a little bit of a hinge and come up into it, but when you come up, you better use those hip extensors, use your glutes to bring you forward. Similar when she's coming up from the chair, she's pushing the hips forward and coming up on the step.
Mhm.
Perfect. So you can go ahead and take a break just so I'm not having you do it for the rest of the discussion. But the stairs, it gets your heart rate up. It's great cardio, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if you were to go downstairs and the rails aren't there?
Mhm.
The whales are what?
What if you go up some stairs or down some stairs and the rails aren't there?
Yeah, that happened the other day. I couldn't touch it because the people were painting. I'm like, oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah. So what do you do if it's not there? You go, anybody, I can tell you, anybody, any age, I'm just telling you, if you go up and down some stairs, don't touch the rails and see how uncomfortable that is. A lot of people might be able to do it. Some people might be like, oh, wait, what? Because a lot of buildings have the regulations saying, okay, you need to have the rails, but what if it's either A, not there, or B, not accessible? She has the weights in her hands. What if you're grabbing groceries in both hands and you don't want to do 2 trips like me? That's why I weightless. So I don't do 2 trips. No, I'm kidding. But your hands are full. You can't grab stuff. You're holding on to things. You can't hold on to the rail. Or like you were literally saying earlier, when you were holding on to your grandchild coming up the stairs. And so it's getting in balance because you're coming up on one foot, you're going up and down, and you're getting your heart rate up because doing stairs, it does get your heart rate up. And then you're kind of getting all of those things at once, strength, cardio, and balance. I love exercises that knock all in one because you're getting the most bang for your buck and it's efficient and It applies directly to everyday life. But as far as function, I just talked about how it relates to that. But carrying a grandchild, that's like you have your waist down by your side, but you have to account for life, right? Carrying a grandchild is not 2 8-pound babies down by your sides.
Right.
It's holding on to a water jug that weighs 40 pounds that jiggles as you're coming up, right? So you want to adjust to having the weight on one side, the weight on the other side, holding something and fine. You got to think like, okay, this is going that, this is going that. And so again, that's, you got to think about, you can't really rely on what's there because it might not be there, but no, that was good. So now our next balance exercise. This is also another leg exercise. If you're unable to do this one, then stairs is a good option for you. And this is going to be the lunge. And one thing that I mentioned in class is having the ability to modify. I always let people go in their available range. And this example is of this exercise is an amazing example for that. So let's go ahead. I want to see the side view of you lunging. She's going to put one foot in front of the other and she's going to go directly up and down, and she's going to go at the range that she can go in. So she's going up and down. Some people can only do partial, and some people can make their back leg, the trail leg, the back leg, touch the ground. Some people can, some people can't. Great, but she's going at the range that she can. Perfect. And you see how she's not having a lot of sway because she's had practice in this, and her knees. So now let's do the front view really quick. Just give me 2 or 3.
I'm sorry, the front.
Yeah. So let me see the front. So she's just going to do a few of them. So I'm telling everyone what I'm looking out for when I'm doing a lunge. When she's going up and down, I'm making sure her shoulders are square. I'm making sure her hips are square. I'm making sure they're not tilting from one side to the other. I'm making sure her knee is in line with the first 2 toes. It's not going from side to side. Again, when life happens and these variations and the step is uneven and you have that little wobble, you're prepared for it. But I'm looking for all these little deviations that occur while she's doing the lunge. And she's doing an amazing job. So you're all set for the lunge. And then I'll talk about the importance. I'll talk about the importance of lunging. It is a great balance exercise because you're in a narrow stance. When balance is an issue, some people will start to walk with a wider base. And what I mean by walking with a wider base of support is having their legs further out and further out and further out, and eventually you're waddling. But doing exercises like this, that's important for keeping balance, because if you're strong here, you're good here, you never experiment here, you never go here, then you're gonna lose it. And fortunately, although balance can be lost quickly, it can be gained quickly. So that's that. And then as far as the lunging, it's also important to help you get up and down off the floor. So, quick demo of getting up and down off the floor. So let's say if you are laying down or kneeling or whatever situation got you on the floor. Hopefully it's not an emergency, but if it is, we're accounting for it, right? You're coming up, you're in this position. From here, you're coming up, okay? This right here, that particular movement is the make it or break it when people fear coming up and down off the floor. That right there. It's just like, where do we go from here? Where do we go from there? It's just like, not to compare, but it's just like because I'm just saying this because I'm working in peds now. If a baby, if they're crawling and they can't quite figure out to, if they're like kind of army crawling, they're not quite crawling yet, and they can't quite figure out standing up, or they can't quite figure out that lunge, they're missing that lunge to get up. You don't want the lunge when you're standing up anymore because they're not a baby doing it, but you don't think about it at all. But that right there, I'm telling you, will save you because you can do it while holding onto a chair. I never thought about it as a lunge either, but yeah. yeah, you don't think about it like that, but it's a separate component. And that's another reason why, for example, push-ups are important, because what if I'm on the floor and what if I'm laying down or something? How am I going to get here? How am I going to get here? How am I going to push? How am I going to do that? How am I going to push with enough momentum to get me in that safe lunge position? I can put my hands here and push down and come up from there, but how am I going to segment that? And that is, you think about push-ups, and then I don't do push-ups every day, so it doesn't really apply to a function for me, but there's a little piece of that in the getting up off the floor. So thank you for demoing the lunges. But yeah, so that's my little thing on lunges. And we have one more exercise, which is the one that is for balance for everyone, but this is one specifically for Marcia, and that's going to be the tandem walking. So.
And is that the ones for the heels?
The ones for the heels. Yep.
Okay.
So that is walking, putting one foot in front of the other. It is her time.
And on my tiptoes?
I have you do the tiptoes because you be wearing heels. But other people, I just tell them to walk heel, toe, heel. So I make their heel touch their toe with their feet flat.
Okay. And that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
This floor is new. And before it was carpet in here. And now it's the, what do you call the laminated something floor? So it's a little different. So I'm not used to walking on it yet.
Yeah.
So I just need to make sure that I'm doing it, this way first.
Again, another adaptation. Yep. And that's applying the exact mentality that I was talking about. Perfect.
Okay.
So clearly she's had life experience of walking in heels, period. But so again, how I was saying, when people will walk with their wide base of support with their feet out, they lose the ability to do this. And so if they lose that, so you can take a break from the tandem
walking. Okay.
Yeah, the tightrope walks, tandem walks, all of the above. So if you lose that, if you're in a situation, if you have toys on the ground, if you have to walk through a crowd, if you're in a pin skirt, if you are, if you got to get through a door and there's like people around there and you have to walk narrow and you haven't been doing that, then how are we going to get out of that situation? How are we going to be able to adapt to it? And this style of walking is going to help with that. And again, I added the tippy toes because she said she likes to walk in heels. And I listened to my clients and I was like, all right, so we're going to do it in heels. And so that's not only is people walking with a wider base of support, not only is it helping them like, okay, my balance is challenged, so I'm just going to walk out further. They do that to compensate, but the changes in the gait follows with the bodily changes. That's going to throw off your hip mobility. Your hip mobility is thrown up. That's going to throw off your back. And that's going to throw off this. And that's going to every little from your big toe and up. Any little change is going to affect something as you walk. So those are all of the exercises.
And I love the benefits of all of this, your list of all the benefits. Mobility is number one, fall prevention. I used to worry about those kinds of things. I don't worry as much about, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel a lot more confident than I ever had before. I know like today I wanted to put something up on a high shelf. So I got the little step ladder, and usually I'll just do the first rung, but I got to the second rung and I felt so confident doing those. So it's a confidence thing as well, is really what makes it, and that makes a difference, because I would not have tried. I'm like, okay, I'll just wait for my husband to come home and because he's a tall guy, so he can put it up. But I'm like, no, I can do this myself. And I love one thing that's really important to me is my independence.
Yeah.
right? And being able to do things for myself. Not that I don't want everybody to wait on me. You know, I mean, I like that kind of stuff too, but I would prefer doing it myself and not having to ask someone else to help me do it. Yeah.
And learning that it's okay to ask,
Mhm.
but that's a whole other thing. It's okay, but
Mhm.
having a feeling to not have to is
Right.
a great feeling as well.
Yes,
And
it is.
it's good that
Yes.
you have the confidence to do it, but you've also improved your judgment in being able to do it, given everything that we go over in class.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have the confidence without the judgment, but you have the judgment with what you've learned. You know what I mean? You're able to make an a guess on, okay, you know what? I know my abilities. I know how to modify things. I know how to advance things. I know what I can do. I know that I'm ready for that. So it's, confidence is super important. That will get you by to even try these things, to even try these exercises, to even trust me, to even do any of that. But you mastered the skill to have the judgment to be like, yeah, I can do that. And you knew when you were ready to do it. So that's huge. But yeah, that's everything on my end. But yeah, so that's a great example that applies directly to looking at exercise in a different light.
Yeah, but and you're right. You know what you said earlier is funny, but oh God, I got another exercise class. Oh my God. But I've found that I really enjoyed this, and I think I enjoy it because I can see the benefits.
Yeah.
Because I can remember a time in my life when I'm like, God, I don't want to go to that class. That sort of thing. But like Carmen said, I look forward to it because I'm really, and I think that is probably too the difference, like he was saying earlier about the 2.0 grandma. I got to step up my game because I'm with these 2.0 grandmas. And, we want to make sure that we can do things for ourselves. We want to make sure that, that we are still able to, hang out with the grandkids and all those kinds of things. That's so important. It's really important, and this has become a lifestyle for me. Working out has become part of what I do every day, and eating better and those things. Yeah.
I know I'm preaching to the choir, but that's music to my ears right there. I love hearing that. And I think understanding the benefit, I have to say it. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't tell you how it applies outside, then you're not going to think like that.
Right.
So, like, for other trainers out there, it seems silly to like think out loud, but you have to, for one, to make yourself credible, for them to know what you're talking about, and two, to get the value. Because if you don't talk about it, they're not going to get the value. Or they're going to think that they're going to be into the exercise for a whole other different reason.
Right.
They might be in it for this, and you're really in it to help them do that, but that wasn't their goal because you didn't talk about it, but you didn't mention, like, it's a huge communication thing. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and I see so many. Now we have our, oh God, I'm not going to tell you what number for our college, not college, but high school graduation reunion.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And the last time we had one 10 years ago, I was like, oh my God, what happened to these people? But I saw some pictures. And even though as far as my mobility was not bad, at that point 10 years ago. But somewhere between the 10 years and now, somewhere in there in the middle, maybe it got a little worse because I noticed there were things that I couldn't do. Right. And then I said, oh, I need to start working out. And so then I've been on this mission ever since to work out. And now I feel really good. Unless I overexert myself like I did today. I just did way too much today. But on, typical days where I'm not doing all of that, if I work out one time at Pilates and then come to you, then I don't usually feel, like I'm just overexerted or whatever. For the most part.
But you knew that you did a lot.
Right. I
that
knew
day.
I did too
Any
much,
other
but
day,
I
you'd
had
be
to
like,
do it. I didn't have a choice.
what's
I
going
needed to do
on?
things.
You thought, what did I do? How long was I up for?
Exactly.
Da 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 da. That's the thought process right there. But I like how you were saying how you felt the difference in the decade. I think that should be our next topic, is going over what happens in your 40s, what happens in your 50s, what happens in your 60s on a physiological level, and then how exercise can prevent these things. I think we can dive into that, our next topic, to know how important each decade is and how it'll affect the next decade. So I really like that. So this is a Grandma 2.0 group, but listen, all you guys in your 20s and 30s, what you do now, you're going to hear in the discussion what it does to your 50s. And then what you do in your 60s, you're going to hear about what it's going to do in your 70s.
Yes.
So, you know, you get to, you know the clock, and then you get to work for it, not you're working against it or whatever. So let's, I like that. I just not thought
because
about
you know,
that.
it's like, what is that, Benjamin Button? we're aging backwards, right?
Yeah, let's slow the process down, but also enjoy the ride at the same time.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you, Blanca. This was really wonderful. All right. Take care. I'll see you Saturday.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.